So Georgia Tetlow, MD, founded Philadelphia Integrative Medicine, also known as PIM, in 2009, a model site for integrative and functional medicine application and on-site clinician mentoring. PIM's vision is to empower, inspire change, and create trust with patients, PIM providers and staff, the functional medicine community, and ultimately the medical community at large. PIM integrates the best of conventional and evidence-based integrative medicine to give the tools to be well. Dr. Tetlow maintains a full-time patient care practice and a mentoring practice for clinicians in transition or maintenance phases of integrative and functional medicine practice. She began mentoring healthcare providers in 2002 and has pioneered a self-care curriculum entitled Honor Self. Dr. Tetlow received her medical doctorate degree from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, of Medicine. She is a Bravewell Fellow of the Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine at the University of Arizona and serves as clinical assistant professor of rehabilitation medicine at Sidney Kimmel Medical College, at Thomas Jefferson University Hospitals. She's done that since 2009. Dr. Tetlow is a regular faculty presenter with the Institute for Functional Medicine, and she was certified as a mindfulness teacher in 2008 and hatha yoga instructor and yoga therapist in 1993. So Georgia, please come join us. Welcome. We're so glad to have you. And you should be able to unmute yourself.
Thanks, Michelle.
You're so welcome.
So, hi, good morning, everybody. I wanted to welcome you. And I think what we'll be doing is I'll be sharing my screen, and through my screen, we'll be able to share some images. So, Michelle, is that how we're understanding it, right? So when I'm speaking, people can see me maybe up in a top corner or something, but I can share the images on the PowerPoint. This is not really a PowerPoint experience. Many of you have attended our professionals group on a monthly basis. We've had these for 6 years, and we'll be settling into our regular routine and to our tried and true intention, which is to spend this time together in a very personal and meaningful way, in a way that we can source support for each other and for ourselves, for us to settle and to embody some of the principles that we talk about in our work and try and share in our work. This is a chance for us to be together in a very intentional way, to support each other, and to also remember ourselves as providers who have some type of schedule where there's patients or clients who we care for. It's really important for us to remember that we're part of the healing, and we deserve and need the healing. And at this time, more than any time, we're learning to include ourselves. And dare I say, even put ourselves first. So we'll be practicing that, and I have some things to share with you. I have some poems. I want to light a candle, and I want to share with you a heartfelt gift for each of us to center together, share together, and to be nourished, and to be regenerated, and to feel good and supported. So I want to welcome everyone this morning. I know many of you so well. I've known you for years, and I'm so glad to see you this morning. Thank you for taking the time for yourself and to give yourself to this experience. I hope this can be fruitful for you. Thank you for coming. To share my screen with you, and I hope that you can see that, and you can see the flowers at the center of the screen. So I'm turning up my volume to make sure you can hear me. And how's the volume?
It looks great, Georgia, and your volume is just fine.
Okay. Thank you. So the flowers are at the center. That's a great place for us to start. And this is the Healthcare and Integrative Professionals group. We meet on a monthly basis, as we have for these years, and everyone is invited. So I source different communities. So I'm an integrative professional myself as an integrative physician, and I am part of a larger physician community. My faculty at Jefferson, and as a physician in this country at this time, we are all fellow healthcare providers and health workers, and there's lots of ways that I'm connecting to the many communities I'm a member of. And all of us are welcome here this morning. I'd like to begin with a centering meditation, as we always do, and I have a poem to share with you for us to start. I'm just getting texted from some healthcare providers who would like to be joining, and some of them are not able to come on the Zoom. Nice messages coming in via text comes through on my Apple Watch, and they say things like, I'm right there with you. I can't come to a Zoom meeting right now. I got my hands full. I don't know how they're texting, but there's a lot of people who are, as always, as you always hear me say every month, there's so many people that are either attending in spirit or sometimes they'll attend in whatever way they can. So I'd like to start with a poem that I've prepared for you, or chosen for you. This is not a poem I wrote. It's a poem that you're probably very familiar with, or at least perhaps have heard of, by Rumi, called The Guest House. And even if you've heard this poem before or many times before, I hope that you can settle with me this morning and that you can breathe and hear this poem, and then we'll do a brief centering after I read The Guest House by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Taking a moment to settle in your body this morning. To allow your breath, to allow your full experience with any range of emotion or depth of emotion. But seeing if we can drop down, even beneath any turbulence, any strain or distress, and dropping down deeper, below, more deeply into yourself and into ourself. Inviting that contact with that depth inside. Releasing, resting, pausing. Seeing if you can drop down to that point way down deep where there's that sense of safety. A sense of stillness and that you are safe. Even with a turbulence at the surface and the feelings are present, there can be a busy mind and many things pulling at you, sounds, people, the past, the future. Allowing yourself to settle and to drop down into you. now, again, and again. So you are safe. You are held. You are connected. And we'll stay here for a few more seconds in silence. See if you can just also sense that even though there might be thoughts and experiences and pieces coming in for you, see if you can also just hear the silence, the space between sounds. Noticing if you're breathing and allowing your breath. So we'll begin to complete our centering meditation. I'm going to invite you to begin to breathe a little bit more deeply. In and out. We'll take some breaths together, breathing in, breathing out. A few more times. In and out. In and out. And I'll invite you to gently open your eyes. You also might feel comfortable just to wiggle the fingers, wiggle your toes, and just make a stretch that would feel comfortable. Ah. You know, you don't have to stay sitting if you don't want to. You can even stand up or listen to your body, see what would feel good today. Um, I want to look out at you and also just see you and see who's here today. And I see Lance's dog. And I want to see each of you. And I want to say good morning. And I want you to know that I'm here greeting myself this morning. And I'm here with you. And there's really no other place I would rather be. So I'd like to just share an image. This is an image, if you can see the screen, just to, you can confirm for me because, okay, great. This is a picture of me in the backseat of a plane that's being piloted by my brother. And so I'm sitting in the backseat of this small plane, and the person on the left, so on the left in the front seat, this is my brother. And this is the landing strip that we're headed towards. And this is the first time he is ever going to land a plane. And this is several years ago in North Carolina. And to my right, you can't see her, but my mom's in the back seat. And we're just doing something new. We're doing something for the first time together. And I wanted to share this image with you, which is, we can sort of see where we're headed. We're pointed towards that landing strip. You can see that the image is not quite centered. You know, we're still a little bit to the left. We're like aiming. And this is an experience that I had that I wanted to bring you, should have you join me in this. And the message that I'm sharing with you today which is a message that I'm going to continue to share every day, is that my feeling, and it is my sharing with you, that it is through vulnerability, truth, and love that we will get through this with the most ease. So I wanted to let you know that anything that's shared today is confidential, as it always is in this meeting, and that can you also let us know we are recording, is that right? And that the recording is only shared with permission. So we'll make sure that's cleared. Okay, there's a thumbs up from our host. Thank you, Michelle. This is a safe place for us today. There's lots of different forums we have and public meetings, and this is a safe and private forum for you and for us. I wanted to just orient us, but before we do that, I'm going to just go back for a second. And I'd like for us to just briefly do introductions to whoever would like to introduce themselves. Normally in our monthly meeting, which we've had for so many meetings, I think it's like 72. This might be our 72nd gathering. Usually we start with a centering, and then there's an opportunity to introduce who you are and to say good morning. I always invite each of us to do that in whatever way feels comfortable. So sometimes it's not the traditional way with all the bells and whistles this morning and the full bio. So I might introduce myself in my own way this morning as well, just to a human to human, and also in a way introducing yourself in a way that helps you to arrive and to be present this morning. So if anyone would like to go first, what you would do is you would unmute yourself for us to hear you. And there's many that will not be, they might also be participating and not be able to speak, but we'll just have a brief series of introductions for who is here.
I can go first. This is Erin Reeker. I work with Dr. Tetlow at Philadelphia Integrative Medicine. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to the first meeting. Hi, everybody.
Welcome, Erin.
Thank you.
I see Nancy. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Nancy Houston John, and I am a functional medicine health coach. And I have been to this meeting a few times. It's a lot easier to get to from my house than 422, so I was able to make it today. Yeah, so I'm just excited to be here with other like-minded people and see how people are navigating things these days.
Mm-hmm. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Tansy, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having this. I agree. It's a very easy commute this morning. Usually I've been to a few. I'm Tansy Briggs. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And I've been to a few meetings, but they've always been a little bit hard for me to come to logistically. So now that I'm grounded at home and and here, this is just the perfect thing to happen, this connection. So I was really looking forward to it this morning.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Tansy. And Dr. Bauer, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm gonna take the video off for just a second, just so you can see I am existing. It's just better connection. So yeah, so I'm Kelly Bauer. I'm a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist, and I have a private practice in Phoenixville that I was just sort of beginning, and then this all happened. So I think it's interesting. I'm looking at it like, yes, my services are going to be so much needed as we go forward with all of this, and I just need to be poised and ready to go. And so the other thing about me is I play gongs for meditation purposes and run groups, and I chant into that. And of late, I've been doing a chanting group online with a healing mantra of the Bon Buddhist tradition. So, and happy to be here.
Thank you, Dr. Bauer. And I have family members that are also chanting with you.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Lance, do you want to say good morning and introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, I'm Lance. This is my first integrative practitioner meeting. I'm so glad to be here, and I wear many hats. I run a wellness center in Berwyn / online right now called Village Wellness, and I'm an acupuncturist by trade, and I do some business coaching as well for folks, and I am loving meeting you guys, and I really appreciate this opportunity, Georgia, as well. So thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks, Lance. Is there anyone else who'd like to introduce themselves? And Michelle, you can say, no, we're all set.
I think that was everybody.
Great. So I want to include us. And actually, this would be a great time. I don't know if you can just spotlight on me. Do you want me to stop sharing my screen in order for us to, I would like to light a candle because there's a number of folks who would like to be here this morning, but because we have this group at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, which is, there's no good time for providers, but 8 o'clock on the Monday morning is especially challenging if you have a certain schedule. So I'd actually like to light a candle, and
So
would that be helpful
Georgia,
for me to stop my screen?
yeah, you can just stop your screen and I'll just make sure you are the person everybody's seeing.
So I'm going to just adjust my screen so that you can be here with me for this. I love candles. If anyone like my husband figured out how much I love candles, he's like, I know what to get her for a present. So I'm going to be lighting a candle right now. And I'm going to do this for the many healthcare providers that are not able to be with us today, who are feeling into the right place for them to be, where they choose to be. And I'm going to light a candle for all of us, for us to feel the depth and the support, while there's also that reality of the turbulence and the feelings that are very much there for all of us these days. So this is a candle that I'm lighting for all of us. I'm lighting the light. And I'm lighting that for those who are in need of some of that connection and light. There's a lot of light these days. There's a lot of light to share. So here's to sharing the light. I'd like to share something, usually at some point in every integrative professionals group, I share a little bit about a framework which has evolved out of these monthly meetings. These monthly meetings have been going on for many years, and I was looking through my notes to prepare for today, and I came across the initial diagram in 2016 when I had created the image that I use every monthly group to explain how I see well-being, and so kind of an invitation or a proposal for provider well-being. So I have an image of that. So I had a wonderful staff member turn it into an image so I can share it on the screen. But I saw actually the handwritten version, and it said 2016. I looked through my notes. I said, wow, that one's 4 years old. So it's nice for the image to come forward and for it to be worked through and for it to evolve over time. So I'm going to focus on a particular area today. I thought this could be really helpful for us for this current circumstance we find ourselves in. I'm going to share my screen, and you're going to see an image of provider well-being, like a proposal. You may have seen this before, and I'll just describe briefly the components of it. And then there's an area that we can go more deeply into, and I can share an opportunity for us right now. I'm going to share my screen. And this will look familiar. And this would be the framework that first came to me in 2016. So this is a really helpful way to think, for me to think about my own health. And one of the reasons I have this group is because I need to remember myself and to practice and to include myself in a self-care experience. So this, as you know, is not a traditional networking experience, although it's a great way for us to connect and support each other. So there's three parts, three ends of the triangle, and I usually start with emotional health because that means our ability to allow feelings, but also we're framing and witnessing and creating a safe container for feelings. We're not just being buffeted and following them. There's actually a relationship with feelings and a space for feelings. And so we create the space for our emotional health. We create a safe container. And it's really important to allow feelings. And it's also important to allow a safe container so that also we can make decisions that are not just from the momentary powerful emotions that come through us, but that are informed by feelings, because that's us, our intuition, but that are also, we are present as we're feeling. We are also a witness and embodied. So emotional health is down here, and sometimes we focus on this on our integrative professionals group, our healthcare workers group. And actually what we're going to be focusing on today is mindset. And I'll start there, and we're going to go wherever this group would like to go. I'll just say a few things and we'll be having lots of interaction. Mindset, I used to describe this as the little window through which we see the world, in which we allow the world to come in. It's like a little, can be as small as a slit. I've also described this section, this mindset part of the triangle, as consciousness. So what is your internal narrative? Sometimes we can be in a more contracted state or more expanded state, depending if we're relaxed or if we're in fear. So I'd actually like to talk specifically about some mindset opportunities for us today. And I actually have three mindset shifts that I got from Oprah that I'd like to talk about today that really helped me shift from a fear-based response to the current circumstances to a different mindset, a more intentional and conscious mindset. So she said, here's one option and here's another. And it's just a beautiful sharing. So that's what I'd like to offer for us to start this morning. Another part of the triangle is community, and it's important for us to be in connection. And so one thing that we connect to is our breath and our body, and the fact that we have a body and that we're sitting in the chair. We can feel the weight of our body. We can feel our feet on the floor. We can have the physical sensation of our senses working. When we look around the room, sometimes when we're in fear or in trauma, your eyes can scan, but no information comes in. There's not that stimulus that can come forward. So being connected to our body is a wonderful foundation. And community refers to connection. So it refers to connection with ourselves. And of course, one of the ways that we can deepen our connection with ourselves is to be connected with others and with nature and with animals and with life. So community means so many things. It means communing and joining. And I always think of the yoga. The word from yoga derives from a Sanskrit word named from yuj. It means to join, right? There is not two, there's one. So this joining and connection is so important for us to feel human and for us to be human and to act human, which means to act with compassion and mindfulness for ourselves and to treat ourselves with kindness, to be able to respond in the moment, to be able to be human in our response with each other, which is needed now more than ever. So this is a framework, and this is part of a larger curriculum called the Honor Self Curriculum. And inside this triangle, it says formal practices and moment-to-moment practices that are helping to support and inform the right mindset, a sense of community, and also the practice of emotional health. So formal practices are things that you do on a regular basis that are defined in time. For example, I'm a meditator and I meditate every day for 30 minutes. So that's a formal practice. You might be able to tell, or someone from the outside could ask you, are you doing that? Are you not doing that? So it's defined and in time, and it's a sustained commitment. It's a formal practice. And that can take any form. It can be a mindful walk, and it can be a journaling practice. It can be really whatever it needs to be for you, so that it's something that feels inviting, it feels safe and welcoming, it feels like something that you want to do, and that nourishes you. Moment-to-moment practices have a lot to do with how we're responding in the moment throughout the day. So maybe the formal practice, if we have one, is over. And then it's right now. We're in the Zoom meeting for the healthcare and integrated professionals group, and there's moment-to-moment things that you're doing. For example, I invited you to come to your breath and your body in the meditation. So you might choose to continue to do that throughout the meeting this morning. And that's the moment-to-moment practice that helps to inform the right way of thinking and the right way of responding to feelings, and to stay connected, not just stay connected for a little bit and then not be connected, but for help us to reconnect over and over again. Because what's true of all of these things, and I learned this before I was a mindfulness teacher, and I know all of you know this is a process of coming into a coherent state, and then also we're going to sometimes be going out and in, out and in. Sometimes we're present and then not present. Sometimes we're emotionally healthy and we're making the right choices for ourselves. And sometimes that being constructive is not happening and it's more destructive. So we go in and out all the time. The mindset can be very contracted or it can be expansive. So this in and out is actually the dance, and it is the play. And that is accepted in a meditation practice, and also for us as humans. We're not trying to be on point all the time. We can't be. We're with our loved ones at home in quarantine. We are learning to live together in new ways. And there's so much forgiveness that's needed as a parent, as a family member, to adjust our expectations of each other and not ask ourselves to be perfect and not ask our loved ones to be perfect, so that we can accept them as they are and we can accept that we are doing our best. So I'd like to share specifically about mindset, and there's 3 shifts that I'd like to share today. Before I do that, I just want to pause and see if anyone has any comments or sharing before I go into mindset. So I'm just wondering if anyone has anything they'd like to share, or if it's a thumbs up, we can keep going. So you can let me know. So I'm seeing some thumbs up. Oh, and Tansy's so fancy. She went into the bottom of her screen to the reactions, and you've got a clapping hands and you've got a thumbs up. Tansy didn't even go thumbs up. She just clicked her reactions. She did that. So thanks for modeling that, Tansy. I found out about that last week. So I'd like to go back. I see you there, Nancy, and I don't know if you gave a thumbs up, but I just brought you on the screen. Great. So sharing the screen again, I just like to talk about mindset, because this is just so beautiful. This is not my own work. This came from signing up for some meditations with Deepak Chopra and also Oprah. And I'll absolutely be honest, I did not have any time to do this. In fact, I signed up and then they were clogging my inbox, so I immediately opted out. But I did get a really helpful email while they're trying to get me to opt in again. And I want to share the 3 mind shifts. Mind shifts. So shifting mindset that were offered through that group. And I'll first share the more contracted or fear-based mindset, and then the first shift. So there's a total of 3. So the first one, this is one option. Things are only going to get worse. I know that we have all felt this at a certain point in time. And so the shift, the evolution, or the option that they offer is, whatever happens, I have the inner resources to make it through. I hear a confidence in that. And I hear a faith and a trust in that, a trust in ourselves. The second mind shift is this, or mindset shift. Social distancing means loneliness and isolation. The opportunity there is, I take this opportunity to create new ways of connecting to the people I love. We've all been doing that so that we don't have to be alone, even though we might be physically separate. We don't need to be isolated. The final and third one is, my mind won't stop racing with worry and uncertainty. I'm just going to stop the screen share for a second and check in with you. And I'm going to, maybe I'll be fancy like Tansy, but I also just might be old fashioned. You know, there's something like writing things down, not putting them on the computer, or just giving my thumbs up next to my face so that you guys can see it. I can relate to this. So the mindset starts with, my mind won't stop racing with worry and uncertainty. I can relate to this. Can anyone else relate to this? So I can see a lot of us. Okay, I can see that recognition. So here's the opportunity. There is peace inside me that's always accessible through meditation. That's really powerful to me. There's an always. I mean, that's quite powerful. There is peace inside me that's always accessible through meditation. So it's accessible right now. And we can reach into it, and we can settle into it and make a space for it. I'd like to mention a few things, and then I'd like to open it up to personal sharing and any responses to this, and also any areas that the group would feel they want to discuss this morning. And I'd just like to share very briefly, just a few things, just to say that in our evenings, Wednesday nights, we have our evenings, which are free and open to the public. We have also introduced something called a Tetlow 10. So has anybody heard of a Tetlow 10? So Lance, you might have heard of it. Tansy, I'm not sure you've heard of it. Tansy has not. Erin, you've heard of it. And Dr. Bauer, you can give us a little reaction if it's a thumbs up or not, if you see that way to communicate with us.
No, I haven't heard it.
Thanks, Kelly. I appreciate that. So, and Nancy, this may or may not be new for you. A Tetlow 10 is something that I developed for healthcare providers who mentored with me. One of the reasons I did this was because we are an on-site place for practicing clinicians to come and learn how to do integrative and functional medicine. And 15% of the people who come to our site to learn how to do integrative and functional medicine. So this is already a group of people that have made some space in their life to come to mentor, and they already have some level of commitment to this. 15% or more of every single clinician that has come to our site to mentor over the years has a very unique issue, and that is when I survey them and we talk in the beginning, these are clinicians who do not drink, eat, urinate, or go to the bathroom during their whole shift, the shift when they're working. So whether or not it's a 12-hour shift or it's an ER shift or whatever that period of time from start and stop, whether or not they're in the emergency room or primary care or whatever clinic setting they're in, or even I've had clinicians who practice occupational medicine where this was also an issue, where they're doing workers' comp. That's 15% of the people who opt in to come to mentor with us. And that's a remarkable piece of data. It opened my eyes. And I've always been in a continuum for learning how to take care of myself as best I can. Continuum. So a Tetlow 10 is an instrument that I've come to use. I now use it more publicly with the general public. You don't need to be a healthcare provider to use this. And these are basically things that one needs. So there's a left-hand column, things that you need. So these can be habits or activities, or on the right-hand side, attitudes. So there's space for 5 things that we need and 5 attitudes. But if you just have one need or one attitude, you don't have to do 10. You can do a Tetlow 2. These are things that you personally have noticed help you to feel more in balance. So they, the invitation is to make a list so that if you were to do these things, you would feel as if you were honoring yourself as the center of your life. And I presented this as part of a webinar for self-care to the Institute for Functional Medicine certified providers. So there's a webinar series if you're a certified provider with the Institute for Functional Medicine. So there's more than 1,000 of those certified folks. And I introduced this in a webinar in January with the medical director at IFM, Institute for Functional Medicine. And he says to me, so Georgia, how often do you update your Tetlow 10? And I said, well, you know, I might do it every couple of weeks, or maybe as infrequently as every quarter. But during these last weeks, I have done it much more frequently. And even as frequently as every week, for me to stay tuned to what are the things that I'm needing that would help me feel that I'm honoring myself. So when I first made this Tetlow 10, I provided examples of what are some habits or activities that I put down when I first made this. That was pre-pandemic, just so that you're aware of the examples that I'm sharing here, and attitudes. And so my initial Tetlow 10, when I made the instrument here, was to go to bed early, to exercise or dance 3 times a week, to take time for pleasure, community/connection, a regular mind-body practice. And attitudes included cultivating an attitude of gratitude, seeing what's right, not just seeing things that need to be fixed, things that need to change, things I need to work on, but seeing what is going well, not rushing, seeing if I can stay focused on a task without getting distracted many, many times. So distracting myself less, asking for help, and also practicing an open heart, communicating my needs. So those are some examples of doing things and thinking or mindset things that I came up with. And I'm going to encourage each of you to consider what your Tetlow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 10 things are now. And I'd like to take a moment to do it while we're here, because we don't really do homework that well in the pandemic, right? We don't sort of make time after the Zoom meeting is over. We're going to do it now. And if you ever wanted to download a copy of this, this is available for download on the website. You would go under the Being Well series. I'll tell you where it is a little bit later on the website. Okay, you go to the Being Well Wednesday night free webinar series, and at the bottom it has the breathing practices, and it also has this download. So let's take a moment. Noticing if you're breathing. And if you need another minute, I'd like you to just put your hand next to your face. If you need one more minute, you just put your hand right up like this, and I can see whether or not you need another moment. Yep, and I'll certainly give you that time. Thanks. So if those of you who are finished, because we're going to give a little bit more time for everyone to listen for these answers. If you finish already, see if you can start to practice giving yourself what's on your list right away. Don't wait. Don't wait to do something. Begin to give yourself what's on your list right away. And I can see that a few of you might be working. So if you need another minute, can you put your hand up? And if you're fine, you can just give me a thumbs up. Okay, I'm getting the right, that sounds good. And Dr. Bauer, you're good to go. Fantastic. Okay, I got a nice strong yes from Dr. Bauer. I got a nice strong yes from everybody. Like, yeah, that's great. So wonderful, beautiful. Thank you for doing that with us. You might have an opportunity, if you choose to, you can actually share anything that you feel comfortable sharing with in a little bit. I'm just going to finish some of the announcements and then we're going to open it up. We'll be ending on time today at 9:30. And I'm just going to make a few announcements and then we'll have our discussion. So a few announcements would be that the intention for this group and our intention at our clinic and who I am is the intention is so that we are connecting with each other so that you feel connected. We're also letting you know a little bit about us, that we are virtual and we've transitioned and we're here providing medical care. So there's a few announcements that I'm going to make, but I'm actually going to save these because these are a little bit more announcement-y. So I'm just going to turn that off and just come back to our group and say, is there anyone who'd like to share? And if you'd like to share, you would unmute yourself. And we'd love to hear from you and hear you.
Shall I share?
Please do, Lance.
Am I sharing my Tetlow 10?
Well, I think what you're doing, like each of us right now, we're together. And it's the first time we've ever been together in this particular configuration, in this particular group. So you're thinking about, what would I like to use this time for? Is there a need that you have? Is there something that's on your heart that you'd like to share with others? Is there something that you may have discerned is important for you and it might be a commitment to yourself and that you actually want to say it out loud to the group to help to have you hear yourself, to have it be as a commitment to yourself, or maybe it's you're stating your intention or where you're coming from. So as an invitation to each of you, what am I asking you? What's the question? What are you responding to? That's how I'm framing it.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, when I started really putting down the words, you know, the thing that I've been aware of, and you know, I think for the first time, I want to say ever, like a couple of days ago, I had a day where I was like, I overdid it today. Like I did too much today, Lance. I don't ever remember myself ever saying that. And I feel like as healthcare providers, you know, we're in, unless we're careful, right? We have a lot to do right now. You know, we have our own like communities of patients and clients that really need our kind of support. And so, you know, I've been doing a lot. And so like the first thing on my Tetlow 10 here is slow down, you know, and I've been telling myself to do it. And I've been trying to create some structured slow down time in my day. Slow down, create more space, ask for help, spend time in nature, you know, go for a hike every day, shower, eat regularly, you know, eat regular meals, spend some unstructured time with Luna and Amy, and I've been doing, I've been really aware that part of the gift of this virus is this amazing, and this time that we're in right now is this amazing, um, this time of slowing down, right? Of everything just coming to a halt. And so I really I have to work hard, or I have to work hard at actually stopping, um, and breathing and meditating and creating time for ritual in my life, and all the things that I know that feed my soul. And what I guess my sharing / request from this group is, you know, to I'm just coming to really realize how special this is, that we're all in these helper roles right now, and that we can also be here for each other in this way, and remind each other that it's okay. We can slow down. We don't have to have it right. And you know, I really appreciate you guys so much. So thank you.
Thanks, Lance.
I'll share a bit. I
Dr.
really
Briggs.
appreciate. Yes, hi. I really appreciate this in so many ways, and everything that everyone else has said resonates completely with me. I feel like the first 2 weeks of being in quarantine were just kind of mad. There's no other way of just doing and doing and doing, and all the transition. And but then I was just like, I just need to create a schedule. My husband has worked from home for a while, and I never, this is just the weirdest feeling for me, after 20 years of practice, not to be able to go to the office. And so he helped me, and like, you just need to keep a regular schedule. And so that part of one of your needs on that, the Tetlow 10, is truly all 5 of those things, like keeping a schedule, going to sleep, taking time to exercise, and all those issues. I basically was like, all 5 of them for me is really required. But then, part of, I think for me, is this feeling of being sidelined at a really important time, but knowing like this is the right place to be, and certainly doing like what I can do through telehealth and herbs and nutrition and all that sort of thing. But is staying focused in the present, what's happening now, but also planning for the future, and getting ready for that, because that's going to look really different, but also for all of us who practice, required. And then balancing with personal, family things and stresses that are going on, and such, of just trying to keep everybody healthy and where they need to be. And so I find that like some days I'm juggling that pretty well, and I feel quite positive, and other days it feels quite overwhelming. Or just like your Rumi poem also resonated with me. Wake up in the morning and just kind of feel everything going on. And certainly now as it's ramping up for us here in the next couple weeks. So, just like letting those feelings come through. So I just really appreciate the connection and being able to talk to people who are like-minded and in like boat at this point.
Yeah, and we hear you, Tansy. Thank you for sharing. Would anyone else like to share?
I can share.
Hi, Nancy.
So just going from my list, the things that I need are my walks in nature. That's always been something huge for me. I need to walk my dog once the kids got on the bus. Now the kids don't get on the bus, but I still. Sometimes I offer people to come with me, and sometimes I do not. Um, Making sure we all have quality food and everyone's still eating correctly. I make sure everyone gets up and gets dressed and brushes their teeth, whether they want to or not. And we pretend I said we'll have some resemblance of normalcy around here. And, just practicing kindness and making sure that everyone, continues in my house to feel grateful for everything that we have. And, just bringing a sense of humor to it, because otherwise it would be a lot of tears. And, and then sometimes just letting it all out,
Yeah.
like telling my husband that I have to go upstairs because I can't take it right now.
Yeah.
And not that my kids don't see me cry, but to go, just because I'll hold it in and then it'll be a meltdown. So I don't need them to see that. I don't want them to be scared, but it's a lot for someone who doesn't usually watch the news, because it's a lot. And then to hear too much, and just, I'm sure most of you are the same way, that you feel what they're feeling. The empathy is just enormous. It's overwhelming. So also just letting myself have that time to be sad, get it all out, and then march on. And that's the beauty of having kids too. You have to, you have to keep going. On the other hand, you're like, oh, I have to keep going. So they've actually helped keep me grounded, because when I'm with them and I'm present in the moment, I'm not worrying about what's going on outside. Making food with them, or doing something together, or playing a game. And that really helps, because as someone else said, like when you wake up, like I find it relief when you go to sleep, although I'm not sleeping well, but when I wake up in the morning, it's like, bam, it's there again. And so I'm just trying to find some time to get myself more grounded, because for the first 2 weeks, it was just like, okay, summer vacation kind of hit here in my house. It's like, I have a husband at home now working, but I have to keep the kids quiet while he's on conference calls, and then to do anything for myself is just, so the first 2 weeks, I just spent a lot of time outside and like digging in the dirt so that I wouldn't lose my mind, because I needed to find something to, everything else was just too much. So I needed to find something that just brought me to a good place again. So yeah, trying to do a lot of health coaching on myself. And just one last thing, I do find it very ironic in all of this that, and I'm sure all of you can appreciate this, that in these worst of times, so many recommendations that are coming back to all the basic healthcare that we all suggest in the first place, like eating right and sleeping, and having good relationships with people, and meditating, and finding mindfulness, and how can you relieve your stress, and sitting down to eat meals together. It's just, that part of it is so ironic for me. I'm like, barring a few like major differences, like this is actually like a health coach dream. I don't mean that to sound like trite in any way, but it's just, to me, it's so ironic.
Thank you so much, Nancy. That's a beautiful sharing. Thank you so much. Yeah. Erin, would you like to share, or would you like to participate in another way?
Sure. Yeah. I actually, in the last week, I've had a colleague I worked with like 15 years ago reach out to me, which is very cool, and we connected. And I had a friend who I hadn't seen in years send me an email about getting on this email chain to do inspirational quotes. And at first I was like, oh, this is going to be a hassle. I don't want to do this. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do it. So I'm participating in this email chain, and they wanted you to like blind copy 20 people that are willing to do this. I'm like, I don't think I know 20 people that are willing to do this. I'm thinking of, like Nancy, people at home that have children and just trying to find time for yourself. So I'm like, I'm going to do the best I can with this email chain, and I'm just going to send it to under 20 people who I think would be willing to do this. And so I started to participate in it. And this was, I will send it in the chat. See if I can get it up. I'll just read it to you. So this is the one. So how this email chain works is someone sends it to you, and then you have to send an inspirational quote to a person in the first position, and it's a person I don't even know. And it says it in this email chain that it may not be someone you know. So I sent this quote to this person I don't know. And the quote was, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good repute, if there is any excellence, and if anything worthy of praise, dwell on these things. So I sent it to this person I don't know, and then I had to send a copy of this letter to my under 20 people that I thought would do this. And I had to put myself in the first position, and then, I put another person in the first position. I put myself in the second position. So I sent it to like 8 people that I thought would be willing to do this. And I can keep the group posted in a month, the next time we meet. Apparently, you're supposed to get these random inspirational quotes from people you don't know by participating in this email chain. And in the past, when I've received things like this, I'm like, oh, this is a hassle. I don't want to do it. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm just going to do it. And so I think it's a good way to connect with people you don't know. It's a good way to get an inspiration quote from someone you don't know when you're not expecting it. And so I decided it's not a big deal. I'm just going to do it, and we'll see what comes out of it. But for me, it's another way of connecting, and I think it's kind of cool that I can get quotes or poems or inspirations from people I don't even know, which I think is a way of just unifying all of us. So
beautiful.
So I'm just sharing that.
And we hope you get a lot of unexpected gifts, Erin.
I hope so too, and I hope I provided a gift to someone else. So,
and giving and receiving.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I like to do in our group right now is I want to just share some reflections from some of the things that I've heard us bring forward to join with each other today. And I also wanted to offer some additional things that I hope can be continuing to help each of us to figure out what is right for us. It's really helpful for us to listen to ourselves. Sometimes we get advice and the person's telling us what to do. And there's such an opportunity for someone to help us listen to ourselves so that we can do what we feel is right for us. And that's a very special type of relationship. So that's what we're trying to do today. And that's also what a Tetlow 10 is. The Tetlow 10 is not a prescription for you to do this, this, and this. It's like, if someone tells you, and I listened to the psychiatrist from South Africa the other day, Dr. Bauer is a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist, like, you need to do your routine, and this is how you handle your feelings. And it's one thing when we're told, and it's another thing when it bubbles up from inside. So it's such a gift to have space when someone lets you let it bubble up, and they just give you they listen, and they can be a sounding board. And that's a real gift, because sometimes it's hard for us to do that on our own. And we just need that space and assistance just to hear and listen for, what is it that I'm needing? Where am I? What's happening for me? So that is something that we're doing in this group. The intention for the group is not for you to be told what to do, or, this is what we're doing. It's a space for you to listen, and for you to see yourself, and for you also to receive yourself and how big you are, and how much you have to give, and also how much you need, the depth of what we need. It's very great right now. I wanted to share a few things that I think could be helpful for us. One is that I did also hear you, Tansy, just use the phrase, sidelined. And I might feel like some of the work and some of my emphasis, some of my gifts, some of my contributions almost feel a little sidelined right now. And I think that we want to be really intentional in supporting one another, because actually each of our gifts are needed the most right now. Like, we need you. And one of the gifts of also having you, Lance, here this morning is, Lance, you are a participant and you shared beautifully, and you're participating as a member of this group. but also in our future upcoming groups when we have, for example, a virtual lunch, which is a traditional networking opportunity. One of the things that Lance does is to help us who have just transitioned to virtual practice more fully be received, more fully find our voice, and more get the support so that the gifts that we have and that we are can be more fully received for each of our financial abundance, security and stability and safety for us and our families as we are providers. We're providing for our family financially. And also so that we can feel that there's nothing like having a gift to give and being able to give it. And each of you has that. And we'll be calling on you, Lance, and we need you, Lance, to help us to be received so that we can give. And we figure out how that works doing virtual offerings. And you don't have to be going in that direction. And if you choose to, there's support. And so we'll be explaining that more. And I want you to also see Lance as a resource for that. And at the end, if you want to say anything, Lance, you'll be welcome to do that. A few other things I want to say, which are the way I'm seeing things right now is that the biggest thing that I can give is being present with compassion. So I had my neighbor reach out to me yesterday, and she shared that her uncle has passed away from the virus, and she has another family member who is, or friend, I believe, who is in critical condition, and that there are others who are ill. And my own family, we've lost 2 loved ones. And there's an opportunity to just be in compassion with others and to be present with them. And that I don't need to fix anything. I don't need to change their feelings, and I don't need to make anything better. Just being with is an answer for me, and remembering that over and over again. I was asked last night by my first cousin to help someone whose husband has died. They're in London and her husband has died, and she's sick with the virus, and she wants to know what supplements she can take. And she's part of the NHS, the National Health Service. And this is England. I don't know where you get supplements in London. And, there's these impossible situations sometimes we find ourselves in. And what I also shared with my cousin, which was, being there for her in compassion is immeasurably important. And that's something that we can give. We always can give. Another thing I'm becoming aware of is when I'm motivated by guilt. I can be motivated quite a bit by guilt. When I feel like I'm not the one that's doing what others are doing, or also noticing sometimes when I'm motivated by grief. And it's okay to be motivated by these things, these feelings, and just for giving myself permission to feel and to be aware of, am I eating because I'm hungry, or am I eating because I'm full of feelings? And then even whatever happens, whatever choices we make, seeing if I can return to that sense of compassion and slowing down and just noticing. And we're doing our best. It's not going to look perfect. And it doesn't look perfect. I'm going to encourage each of us not to march forward. Let's take steps, but we don't need to pull ourselves together. And I find myself constantly telling myself to pull myself together. Let's get this done. Let's get this back on the road. Okay. Is there a way that we can not just keep going? Well, maybe we can stop and just stay stopped. And I think that sometimes my family members and my loved ones and my staff, they don't see some of the feelings, but I think they see it all. I think they see and they feel it all. So there's an opportunity for me to be vulnerable, and also to continue to be intentional, and also to stop, not to keep pushing forward, not to keep marching, but let me just allow myself to take the step, one step at a time. It's a step, not a march. I'm trying to remind myself of that. Wherever we go, there we are. So we're not marching away from anything or into anything. We're just right here. So I'd like to see if there's anything else anyone would like to share. Lance, I'll give you a chance at the end. Is there anything anyone would like to share before we make a few announcements as we get ready to finish up? If you'd like to say something, just raise your hand and then you can unmute yourself. But if you don't have anything, then you won't raise your hand and we'll move forward.
Hey, Georgia, this is Michelle. I just want to let everyone know that in the chat box, I actually put in the link to get that Tetlow 10 that you can download from your computer. So the link is right in there and it's just at the bottom of that particular page.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
You're welcome.
I print out lots of copies. Try to stay up to date. So we're going to move forward. I wanted to go back to share a couple things on the screen. So there's some things that we want you to know about. I think you already all know that we are here, Philadelphia Integrative Medicine, that we are doing telemedicine and we're here to see patients. And that now that's, if you're anywhere in Pennsylvania at the time of the appointment, you can get paperwork to apply for insurance reimbursement. And Medicare is you're still not able to get reimbursement if you're Medicare, and because of the way that we don't have a billing department. So you still can't do that with Medicare, but anyone who is not Medicare, who is in Pennsylvania at the time of an appointment. And I wanted to just share that we do have the Wednesday nights. So Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. are going to be ongoing for at least April, and we'll continue them. These are evenings when you can see I'm circling Zoe, and you see Erin on the call today, and Linda. These are my providers on my team. So Zoe was one of the people contacting me this morning saying, sorry, I can't be there this morning. I'm with you in spirit. And the same for Linda. And we as a provider team are here to source support for you, answer questions for you as things evolve, and to also share a healing message from your healthcare providers to the community. Please let family and loved ones know that we're there. All of the events that we're offering are free. Also wanted to share that starting this week, if you're on our newsletter list, you might have seen this because we send out a newsletter every 2 weeks. We are now offering for anyone in the community, you do not need to be a patient. We're offering daily emails from me. These are emails that are intended to be short, that are intended to help ground and inspire and support you. And they're messages from your local healthcare provider as a way to have a regular contact and a regular connection at a time when many things are changing. And we're going through some things over these next weeks that are new for us. So please feel free to opt in for that, and also to let others know in your community that we have those daily emails, and those will be, we're deciding the format of those. Those will be short, and we intend for those to be as meaningful as possible. We also have, I'm trying to be aware when I touch my face, right? So, we have a provider lunch on Tuesday, April 14th from 11:45 to 12:30. We have had provider lunches for years, and what these are more traditional networking opportunities for you to talk about your practice and what you have to offer and how you'd like to grow your practice and what your ideal patients are. So I would invite each of you, if you're interested in growing your practice, to participate in that. And at that time, Lance, we're also hoping that you can participate in this, and I believe we've shared that you can, for you to also be a resource to people who are trying to make the transition successfully and financially. And there will be others who can offer resources and support. As we're doing now, there's a little sign up for the newsletter. It's just something I had to screenshot this in this morning. Please sign up for the newsletter. That's just once every 2 weeks, and that keeps you in touch. But the daily emails is a separate sign-in. Those are two different things that you opt in for.
Georgia,
So,
just real quick, can both of those be found on the homepage, or do you want me to put a link in as to where you can find those two signups for the newsletter, and then also the
newsletter is going to be at the bottom of each page in the website. It's going to be a banner, which is orange, which says sign up for the newsletter, and that's on almost every single page. The links to these events, so whether or not it's, these are also available on the website. So actually, Michelle, if you don't mind, find the link to sign up for the daily emails, and if you can put that in the chat room, in terms of events like provider lunch, Wednesday nights, that's all in the events tab. You just go to
Okay.
events and you'll easily see. So if you,
Sorry, and the which tab is the email that they can register for the daily emails?
if you'd like me to, I'll find it on the website now.
Okay.
It's where the daily emails are. So let's see. Or we can, if anyone
You can
has,
always add it into a follow-up email too, if that's easy.
if anyone right gets the newsletter, that was an easy click on link from something that went out yesterday at 4 o'clock. So I'm just looking right now to my own, looks like my browser was shut down. So if I go like this and I just go right to the website here. So this is where I was screenshotting this. So this is our website. And if you go to the home page, you'll see that there's a COVID-19 safety and support on the home page here. If you click on this.
Georgia, were you wanting to share that screen?
Oh.
There we go.
So if you go to your, thanks, Michelle. So if you go to the home page, you see that there's safety and support. This is the home page, and clicking on this teal button, COVID-19 safety and support, click. Then you'll see that there's lots of resources, and there's a video that I'm going to invite you to share, which is from March 20th, and it talks about how we can end the pandemic. If there are no hosts for the virus, there's no virus. Virus dies without a host. So we give permission for the virus to continue by allowing ourselves to be hosts, not that we allow it, but sometimes it's unintentional and we're doing our best. But if we all stay home, and there's a contribution to the solution to our world pandemic, eradicate coronavirus together. And there's information on that. And this is the summary of what that says. The more people who stay home, the shorter time we'll have to continue to do it. And this is the button right here to subscribe to daily email. So I'm on that right now. And this is something I have in a call to action slide for you. So I'm not going to go back to the slide. I'll just say how you can help if you have or made personal protective equipment like masks, or you know someone who has extra masks. This is where you can drop those things off. And also we now have a wonderful option of way to help people who are critically ill. If you know someone who has survived COVID-19 infection, their plasma can help people who are critically ill. And so this is the Penn site where you can find out how to give plasma. So.
Okay, and I just to let you know, I went ahead and popped in that link for the coronavirus page on the Philly IM page website. And then Georgia, just so you know, I just sent you a private request from one of the participants as well.
Did you send that via chat, Michelle? So I'm just responding without saying any names to that private chat. And if you are already on the newsletter list, you'll continue to get that newsletter every 2 weeks. But if you'd like to sign up for the daily emails, you'll need to click on that button that I just showed you. And then you can always opt out of that at any time, but you'll need to opt in to get the daily email. Okay, so I'll ask you to do that, to opt yourself in. I won't add you myself. Okay, and if there's any other questions, please continue to private message Michelle or myself. Are there any other messages or announcements, Michelle?
Don't believe so. I think I've seen any that I think we're good.
And Lance, I'm going to get ready to finish up the webinar, the meeting on time today. Is that okay if we hold any announcements or sharings that you have until the virtual lunch? Okay, so I got the thumbs up. So we're going to get ready to finish our time together. And what I'm going to do is, do you see how I brought that candle over? You see how I brought light in? See how I bring the candle in? You can see it reflecting in here, and there's our candle that's lit. So I've got our candle here. And I want us to remember this time together. I want us to remember having shared with each other and having heard each other, having some time quietly for us to listen to ourselves. What is it that I'm needing? And how that does evolve. It does change. So don't just listen once. We need to go back again and again to hear, what is it that I'm needing now? Is it an action or is it a mindset shift? I want you each to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that I see you and I'm with you and I'm not going anywhere, and that we'll get through this together. And also that it's so important for us at this time to focus on beauty and to focus on the light, that's coming in so strongly. And there's so much happening now. There's many feelings, many strains, and many challenges. And there's a tremendous process happening on our planet, and we're all feeling it. So each of us is doing our part just by being present in our hearts with each other, forgiving ourselves. So I'm going to leave you with that message, and I want to thank you for being here today. It's been a pleasure. And also, I'd like each of you to take a moment. One last thing I'll ask you to do. In the chat box, so if you can please go to chat, I'd like each of you to privately chat. You can chat Michelle or you can chat me, but this is private. And I'd like you to indicate whether or not this webinar could be shared, or if you felt that there were confidential pieces in what you shared that you don't feel comfortable for this to be shared with others. And if that's the case, then we won't share it, and I feel comfortable. You don't have to do that publicly. You do that privately to me or Michelle. And if you feel comfortable, we would share the webinar with the other healthcare providers that were not able to join us today, for them to also get some light and get some support, for them to know that there are many who are focusing on what is going well and on our health for mind, body, and spirit. So please take the time to do that. And
Georgia, I'm just going to jump in real quick and let everybody know, in case anybody's confused, that in the chat box, when you click on chat at the bottom where it gives you the option to type a message, right above it, it'll see to, and it says to everyone. And if there's a little caret, you just click on that little down caret and it gives you the names of everybody. So you can pick Georgia. I would suggest just go ahead and pick Georgia so she has that information, not me, because she's the one who needs it the most. So just click on Georgia's name and then type your message in there.
Mm-hmm. And we've actually heard from everyone except for one person. So if you have any questions about how to use the chat, you can also let us know. And actually the question is, it's either a yes or a no. And we're not going to be sharing this publicly. So thank you so much. And I am delighted to have been with you today. We'll be here next month. And if there's anything that you need, for example, if you want to have this group more often, please, the way to message me, and we'll put this in the chat as well. I'll put this to everyone. The assistant, the person who's helping me, so you can message me directly with my own email address if you have it. Also, Danny is the person to communicate with. So Danny at phillyim.com. Do you guys see that in the chat box? That's an email address. Anything you want to, doesn't have to be to Danny. It can be to me, and copy Danny. It can be things like, I thought that was great. Could we have another one of those? And you can just tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you need. You can even put some times in there. And it's just such a joy for me. It's such a pleasure for me. You be in touch and let us know what you need. Okay? Signing off for today. It's Monday, March 6th. It's just after 9:30. I want to thank you all and my best to you.
Thank you so much, Georgia.
All right, everyone. In the right-hand corner, there's an end meeting button. You're welcome to go ahead and drop off whenever you are ready.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Michelle.
There it goes.
Great job. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Oh, look, everybody's already dropped off.
They all dropped off. It's you. So we could stop the recording too.
Yes, we can.